Hello, everyone. Welcome to another wonderful episode of the Pixelated Echoes. I'm your host, 3-Bit, here with my co-host, Fuzzy Belvedere, and we're gonna have a very pixelated evening tonight. If you're listening, be sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell to be notified when we go live. Be sure to subscribe to us on different social platforms. Um, Blue Sky, Spotify now, a couple others we're going to start putting on there. So got a great show for tonight. We're finally back. So everyone starting to drop in their chat. Welcome to the first show of the year. It's been a year since our last show. Yeah, it's been a whole year. No, but it's gonna be a good show. I'm excited to be back and get some dust off of my podcast because it's been a minute. It's been a minute. So, and you guys know the drill. As always, we start with what we've been playing or watching. I'm fine with you telling me whatever you've been watching as well. But I've been playing a couple different games. A lot of games are on sale for the holidays, and I decided to kind of dive back into tennis. So I've been playing Top Spin, 2K. I guess it's 25. Um, but I have complaints for one. Yeah, I got some complaints for this. So for those who like sport, I like sports games. So I like NBA. I played that quite a bit. Beat Wilt Chamberlain's record a couple times. So I have like my player. He has like 140 points in one game, something like that. Like I maxed out his 3-pointer, and I just love to win. I love to win this sport. I could put it on the easiest mode and be happy and win like 100 games, and that is the most satisfying thing to me. I don't know why. Like some people, I like a challenge or something. I like a challenge and like some story games. Something like Indiana Jones. Like I was like about to put that on hard, which I think I did for some sections, but then I got my butt kicked. But now I'm in the tennis realm. So I have some complaints. For one, the game, if you were not to buy anything outside of the game, like you buy the game, I feel like it's kind of broken, like for your career mode. Like they really expect you to fork some cash to level up your player. I'm kind of explain why. So your tennis player kind of starts off level one, and you can like play different matches and try and rank up. Every 2K games has like a my career kind of mode. You can try and like rank up your character to like in the primaries, and then in order to qualify, you have to compete in like these different tournaments. However, the game has a stamina system in place. So you can only compete for like one tournament per month. I don't know why it's set up by like month. You like rest for the entire month. Maybe you can change it. I don't know. But I'm pretty sure you can only rest for like a month to completely go back to normal. And then your character has to rest again, which puts you in a state where you beat one tournament, you beat the tournament, and then you have to rest for the entire month. So your rank, like it goes up and then down and up and down. There's no way to do it unless I guess you eventually rank up your character's stamina or something. But I have no idea how long that's gonna take. So it's like in this never ending cycle where I beat tournament, I do a good job, and then I have to rest, and then my rank goes back down. And it's so frustrating. So I'm gonna give a bad review of this game right now. But I've been playing that. I beat Indiana Jones.
Mhm.
That game was incredible. Uh, like 10 out of 10 for me. I know Fuzz, you were telling me some stuff behind the scene. Crazy. But overall, I loved it. Troy Baker. I didn't know. I knew he was talented, but dang, like this is one of the best performances. Like in challenging. If you really think about what he's doing here, very challenging role. So props to Troy. He did a killer job. And let's just go to you, Fuzz. Let's bring in my co-host, the racing legend, the real life Felix the Cat, drifting sensation. Fuzziest of all the Belvederes, how are you today, good sir? And what have you been playing? What you been watching? What you been up to, man?
Oh, I've been, just relaxing on this holiday time frame. Wife was home, being a teacher. She got like the 2 weeks off and everything, so just got to spend more time together and been binging some stuff on TV, watching horror movies and stuff. Watched Maxine, which is like a
Oh yeah, is
part of a trilogy.
that the first
Uh,
one?
it's the third one, but technically in the timeline, it should be the second one. If you well, Pearl is the like a prequel. X is the real first one, and then Maxine would be the follow up. But Pearl should come before both of those. But
Oh,
it not as gory, but definitely has its moments. The ending's a little strange, but it was still a good movie for like a for that 80s vibe and horror film kind of thing with the cat and mouse kind of deal and the tension and whatnot. But some decent A-listers in there that played some interesting characters like Kevin Bacon and
oh, I didn't know he was in it.
Esposito was in there as well. And yeah, it's a pretty good movie. I would say it's like a throwback B movie, but higher quality to kind of give you that B movie look, but with better visuals. If that makes any sense. But as far as gaming, fell back into Shattered Space. Still got a lot more to do, but finished up a few missions. No spoilers, but had to be the second for the brothers that are trying to kill each other, and you can go a whole bunch of different ways with
Oh yeah,
that.
they.
But
I'm curious of what your choice was, and
I decided to drug them.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
okay, okay, nice, nice.
So, but I have a feeling I'm going to regret that later because I have a feeling it's going to flare up again, but we'll see how that goes. Um, Played that. Been playing Indiana Jones. Love the game, but I ran into a bug. I blame you, Stein, for posting on, I guess it was Blue Sky or maybe it was Twitter, where
Mhm.
he showed you could burn the propaganda flags at the Vatican. And I had already finished the Vatican. Like, I think I had done everything at the Vatican. No, I didn't do everything because I got to go back and burn those flags not the flags, but the propaganda posters. And I think I was in the middle of a mission and didn't finish a crucial step. So now it's broken where it tells me to do something from 2 steps prior, and I can't. I can't burn the flag or destroy the flag, and the explosion doesn't happen because it already happened, but it's like stuck in that loop or something. So I got to figure out how to break it out of that loop. So I think I may have broke my game. Thanks, Stein. Thanks for showing me a feature I just had to give a try. So if you're curious, don't fast travel back to any of the zones until you finish the game. I decided to try it a little earlier and it worked, and now I gotta figure out what's
Dang,
going on. But Stalker 2, still loving that game. I need to, well, I'm now going to put more time into that since Indiana Jones is broken for me right now. So I'm going to try to finish that out. Finally roll credits on Dead Island 2. I'm just going to play the one character. I was going to try to do multiple characters, but that game, the way I was playing it, I'm going to take too long because I was like, I have to do every side mission. Oh, what's over here? What's down this alleyway? What's in this house? And how do I, break into this place without getting a shotgun in the face kind of thing? So that one finished with that, but definitely enjoyed my time with that. And then still playing Forza Horizon 5. It's the game that I can't set down for a long periods of time. Still collecting cars, although they are slowing a bit down. Like they didn't do what they normally do for the holiday, where they make you gift cars and then they give the community a car based on how many
they
gifts
didn't
you
do
give.
that
And
this time
I
around.
yeah, like I typically around this time of year stockpile like 10 to 20 cars that I have duplicates of and stuff. And this time I have like 60 and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to have a lot of cars to give away." And they didn't have that. So I'm like,
Mm.
"What gives?" But I probably should have known better. Now I got to just put those as like gift drops for other players and things like that. So if you get And if you get back on Forza Horizon 5 and you get an awesome car from me, just understand I have probably like 10 of those right now. So just don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It'll be a cool gift if you get that surprise. But some of them are going to be rare cars, like cars you can't buy. You have to unlock or earn type of thing. So we'll see how that goes. But other than that, just enjoying gaming and looking forward to 2025. But man, looking back at 2024, there were some standouts. There were definitely some game of the year or my personal games of the year. Ones that I definitely enjoyed and probably spent way too much time on. But overall, I think it was a fantastic year. But I have to ask you, what were your top, let's say your top three games for 2024? What
Oof.
grabbed your attention or consumed most of your game playing time for 2024 this year or last
Yeah.
year?
I was thinking about this question. I was like, oh snap. When me and you was talking behind the scenes, I was like, oh, so my top games, and shout out to everybody in chat, by the way. You guys are awesome. Everyone's already talking about indie and stuff like that. Surprise! One of my top games is indie of 2024. It just missed Keely's thing, and we all talked about how it could be a contender for Game of the Year, even before Keely's show. And I think it's sort of demonstrating that in other journalistic sites. I mean, IGN, I believe, named it Xbox Game of the Year or something like that. Eurogamer, which I don't like both of these sites, but they both noted indie as their Game of the Year or something like that. And yeah, it's having like a surprise um thing for a lot of people. I think a lot of people are starting to connect with the game, and I think it's just because it's a fun game. It's it's one of those things where it's just fun to play. It doesn't take itself too seriously. In terms of like the combat, you'll hear the Wilhelm scream. And I was actually looking at our past videos. It might have been streamed on this channel or either my channel. I can't remember, but I was kind of just talking about what I wanted out of an Indiana Jones game. And it was before we seen any trailer or anything like that. I was just curious about my thoughts. And almost everything I noted that I wanted in that video, it ended up happening in the game. Like, which is actually insane when I really sat back and thought about it, but I didn't expect the open world to be there. They, if anything, they under promised what was going to be in Indiana Jones. Like, no
Mhm.
idea it was going to be this open. Um, no idea the amount of side missions that are in this game that feel like main missions. Like certain side missions, I was like, "What the heck? That was a side mission!" Like it actually surprised me. So I'm looking forward to. I'm kind of going back right now and experiencing some of those side missions. I feel sad for you, Fuzz, that you ran into some of these bugs. I haven't had any issues on my end. Besides, what did I have? Oh, I did run into one bug where it was the fire mission
Mm.
where um it was like not activating what was supposed to happen next. So I was just like waiting in the fire. I was like am I supposed to be over here? Am I supposed to die in the fire? Like that was the only I think bug I had.
Mm.
But besides that it's been pretty good. I've taken way too many screenshots of, of the cutscenes and stuff like that. But yeah, that is number one for me
Mm.
for my top game of 2024. I would say number two will be Hellblade. It was just like I know some people had criticisms of it and stuff like that. I personally didn't. I thought it was really fun. Um, I am a really big Hellblade fan. Like I love the character. Um, they took the story in a direction I had no idea they're going to take it in, but I'm glad they did take it in that direction. And yeah, I mean, what a game. I really like the combat. I know some people are like, hey, I wish they pushed the combat and stuff, but I don't know. The way you're able to, like, if you're leaning, if you're dodging something and you lean and then you immediately try and counter attack, um, the weight of the sword actually is impacted by that. So if you're kind of leaning and maybe she'll do an uppercut, kind of
Yeah.
swing with her blade, or if you're leaning more that way, maybe she'll like try and do like a forearm swing, and all that is power based. So your sword swing will be either more powerful or weaker. I thought that was a cool change. I don't think a lot of people pointed that out.
Mhm.
The amount of like desperate like trying to survive I still haven't felt in a game. um like it really feels like she is battling and trying to just
Yeah.
live. And I that was a surprise last year. I wasn't expecting to have that with this game. It was a smaller game, but it was still really good, and the graphics are still the best uh, I've seen um, last this whole generation. So they
Yeah.
definitely killed it. The last one, if I have to pick a third, it's very hard because my when we were going through our game of the year categories, I think it was in our last show. I was like Starfield,
Mhm.
and to many people like that didn't come out. That's like my DLC category, my Elden Ring,
Mhm.
Shadow of the Earth Tree, sort of thing. But the reason why it keeps kind of jumping on my list, I'm just gonna add it as a slash. I'm not gonna put it in there. But the reason why it's kind of on my list is it's the first time I beat Starfield and experienced all of that. And then I went to the DLC right after. So it was kind of like a new experience for me, experiencing the story, experiencing all the characters, all these different side quests, different factions. So it was like a brand new game for me in a weird way, even though I had hundreds of hours in it. I didn't really do any of them. I was just screwing around those hundreds or however long I played Starfield. I was honestly just going on a planet, just like da, 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 and just looting and not doing like any of the missions. So it almost felt like a new game to me. But not going to officially add that game if we're doing games released last year. I will say I find Black Ops will probably be my third. Um, if anyone watches our shows, I I've been kind of critical on Call of Duty for a while, right? You watch it,
Mhm.
I'm like, not for me. It doesn't even work for me. I don't really care about it. Yada yada yada.
Mhm.
Um, and something they did with Black Ops 6, they made me interested again in the franchise. And I love the campaign. I thought it was really fun. The gunplay was super solid. The online was really fun. Like it was just overall just a solid game, and it's made me interested again in the Call of Duty franchise. So to me, those are my top three. Um, and I really enjoyed what they did with Black Ops 6. Like it feels like they took their time with how solid it felt. It's made me hopeful again for the Call of Duty franchise. I've had some other ones that I just started. Metaphor, for example, that could have
Oh
jumped
yeah.
on this list, right? Space Marine and stuff like that. I just
Mhm.
started that one too. I'm sure you ask me again next week, it could change, but that's my solid list for 2024. It was a really good year. A lot of
Oh yeah.
amazing games came out last year. What about you, Fuzz?
Well, those are some awesome picks, and there's going to be some overlap as well for me. Indiana Jones is definitely in that top three. Um, Even with the break that I have or the bug that I'm experiencing now, I like I said, I think I brought it on myself by fast traveling back to burn the propaganda posters and stuff. But I'll submit a ticket, see if they can get it patched. I'm pretty sure it's probably an easy fix, but it's just me being over anxious trying to complete all the stuff in the Vatican, and I was like, well, I got everything except for maybe like two medicine bottles or something like that, and like, oh, you can burn the propaganda. Yeah, I got to go back and then yeah. But the key thing about Indiana Jones for me, much like you were saying, I wasn't expecting that much out of this game. And not to say that it wasn't going to be a good game. I kind of expected, okay, first person Uncharted, first person Tomb Raider, a smaller experience kind of thing. I didn't think it was going to be as involved. I thought there was going to be like main story quests and maybe one or two side things. It's like, oh, you find a better hat or you find a better whip or something, random stuff. I thought they were going to kind of go that route. No, they went like this should have been the script for one of their movies kind of thing and made it so you can interact with it in this world and feel like you're, Indiana Jones and find relics, find, newspaper clippings or take pictures and try to figure out the pattern or, look at, some of the notes that you find from the enemies and then try to figure out how to pick the lock for things. Like there's just so much to it. And like even on the first aspect of it where it's like a one for one shot of Raiders of the Lost Ark kind of thing, it's like um I decided I'm gonna go off a different path. Let me follow this river. Let me go and see where these like brick stairs are or whatever. And sure enough, I found a relic that if you don't bother with exploring and you just go and do the main mission, you're not going to find that relic. And it was like I knew from there this game was going to be special for the fact that there is a beaten path and then there's the path that I like to go. And that game the entire way. It's all of that and feeling like you're Indiana Jones. The first person wasn't sure if I would like it as much, but the melee combat made it for me, especially when you start doing some of the upgrades where you can grab them and keep punching them in the face,
Yeah.
or just the random stuff. Like I love the fact that you could pick up like a bottle or a candle and you could throw it in the opposite direction of where you want to go so that it leads the enemy to go over there. Or you could just throw it at their head. Or you can sneak up behind them and crack them over the head with it. Like all of those things. Plus the fact that you could pick up weapons, like the guys that have like the Tommy gun or the machine guns and stuff. Or it's more of like an SMG, but it's like you could pick those up, shoot, and then when you run out of ammo, if you can't find any more ammo, you can use it as a club until it breaks. Like
Yep.
I love how much detail they put into this game, and the visuals are top notch. And I know the id Engine, even though this is kind of like a custom version for them. I know it has a lot of great capabilities visually as well as optimization wise. I think they even went a few steps further. Like I say, this rivals Unreal Engine 5. Like I think they should probably look at putting more games in this engine just for that fact. But such a great game. I'm not going to let the bug right now I'm experiencing take away from that. It is a great game, no matter what.
Yeah.
I do want to give honorable mention to Hellblade 2. It's not in my top three, and the only reason why is they need more of the combat that I experienced in that game. Like I didn't do the dynamic combat because I could tell it's like it lets you win kind of thing unless you're purposely screwing up and missing. But like when you take the dynamic part off, you have to watch what you're doing. And like you said, it's like a fight for your life. Like you literally feel like you're fighting for your life. And when you get winded and you just basically hit his arm or slice his arm, but don't get a good, stabbing to his shoulder, you can tell that you're not really hurting him. And then he knocks you down and you got to make sure he doesn't, stomp on you and stuff like that. Like just the level of combat. And there's so many additional animations. It's not like most combat in games where there's only like two or three animations. No, there's like I would say almost five or six for each type of movement because it depends on if the mirror is charged. It depends on if you had the momentum, like what you were saying when you were leaning to one side or not. Like all of those things seem to matter, and they took that into account for their animations. And you're not seeing the same animations twice. unless you're purposely doing like the same moves on dynamic. You do the same moves on dynamic, yeah, it can be repetitive, but I think that's the part of it where if the game winds up being too hard, dynamic kind of worked for you. But like it is a great combat game. The thing I would want is almost like a mode where you're from one enemy to the next, like a constant flow of just fighting for your life kind of thing. Like, yeah, I know like God of, and I don't mean to compare it to God of War or anything like that, but you know how God of War had like that roguelike type, add on that they gave as free DLC. I just want to see them do something, not like an arena, but something along those lines, especially like the creatures that are underground where you can kind of half see them, but they can definitely see you in the dark kind of thing. Something like that where you're just constantly doing like the fighting for your life deal.
Yep.
That would bump it up from being in the top 5 to being into the top 3. But in the top 3, Stalker 2. I knew it was going to be a difficult game. I knew I was going to die a lot. I'm not typically the survival kind of guy, but I do like survival in Division 1. They had that mode where you're going into the dark zone in the middle of a blizzard kind of thing, and you have to get warmer clothes. You have to, upgrade your gear and weapons by crafting. It's not quite like that in Stalker 2, but it gives me some aspects of the things I enjoyed in that mode in that game. The enemies, yeah, they can be a bit of a bullet sponge until you figure out that you can change the ammo. Like the big thing that I learned is there's regular, hollow, or there's hollow points, and then there's armor piercing, and then there's explosive rounds. There's attachments for grenade launchers, all of that stuff. Like the fact that they went into deep detail on the weaponry and the attachments and the ones you can find, and taking them off of a broken weapon, or trying to get that broken weapon fixed so you can sell it, or fix it and keep it. Same thing with keep for your gear, all those things. It's the looter shooter without like the gold drops. Basically, you don't see the little glow from the stuff when it falls, but when you loot the dead bodies and stuff, sometimes you get lucky and you get the armor they were wearing, or you at least get the weapons that they had, or maybe a grenade here and there. Hopefully you get some, medical kits and all that stuff. But I just like the fact that it rewards you for traveling light and being quiet, or stealth like, or being, a bull in a china shop kind of thing, but making sure you lead the enemies that are shooting at you or chasing after you through the anomalies. Like there's just so much to the game. And we haven't even gotten to like the talking about like the different choices you can make. Like you can backstab everybody, or you could be, the world's friendly, stalker in the zone. Everything in between is possible. You just got to watch out. If you don't stab them in the back, they could stab you in the back. Kind of thing.
Yeah, it's brutal.
And
brutal
your decisions matter, and you don't necessarily find out right then and there. But you go to the next town and they hear about what you did. You F around and find out. It's definitely in the game. So I just love what they crafted in that game. Yeah, it had a few bugs. I didn't experience as many on PC. Like the biggest bug I encountered, I forget the name of the town, but like some of their walls have like that visual glitch kind of thing.
Like kind of like pop in a little bit.
Yeah, and they patched that. So that was the only real bug I experienced. And there was one time I picked up a body and it wasn't over my shoulder. It was like I moved, the body didn't, and then the body was like floating as if it was on my shoulder, but like 5 feet away. But I didn't care because at that point I was like, oh, it's a ghost. But after that, like
It wasn't
I've
like
had so much.
gameplay breaking bugs for you. It was more so like visual glitches.
Yeah, but like I mainly played it on PC, but I did play it on console for a bit. Uh, for an Unreal Engine 5 game, it's probably one of the smoother of the ones out there. I just enjoyed the visuals, the story, the choices. I definitely need to roll credits on that, but I'm taking my time. I guess you could say the third best armor in the game. It's like the orange chemical suit, but I got it fully upgraded. Well, not fully because there's a couple of things that the vendors can't do to it, but like I think I made it to a part of the map I wasn't supposed to make it to a little earlier, but that game is just so much fun.
Okay.
It is punishing. It can be frustrating, especially if you jump down a ladder in like some sort of like cave or sewer system, and then there's a fleet of rats, like almost like it's a plague's tale coming after you, kind of thing. But man, it's such a fun game. And then my last one for the top three is going to be Dragon's Dogma, which I know you had some of
Mm,
the gameplay
yeah.
playing earlier, but for me, the big thing about that were the pawns. Like when it came to how they
You got your
created
gameplay up.
ones that they use their experience of whoever they were exploring with before, or maybe you hired one that their creator took them somewhere and they found the treasure chest. They'll show you where it's at. It's like, oh, I remember this area. I think the treasure chest is just on the other side of that building, or oh, I know the best way to kill that type of enemy. We gotta hit them with frost or something like that. Like I love the fact that they made the AI or the NPCs smarter, or at least have the ability to learn from previous experience. Now, I didn't like as much of the disease or the
Oh,
dragon
okay.
flu or dragon clap or whatever you want to call it that they could get. But luckily, knock on wood, my pawn never got that, and I never picked up one that had the glowing red eyes. But the fact that you have something like that in the game where you could wake up at the hotel and then the whole town is on fire or whatever was pretty phenomenal. And I like the fact that they made the night feel like you're sneaking around at night, and you could see like the ghostly
You are
spirits
getting
in the
burned alive
distance.
by this dragon in this game. I'm looking
Yeah.
your gameplay. Yeah.
But yeah, it's just so much that game. The fact that you could climb the enemies that you're fighting and stab them in the ear, or break their armor on their shins or whatever, or just hit them with all kinds of status effects because of what your pawns can do. It's just a phenomenal game, and I applaud Capcom on that. It probably got some hate for the whole microtransactions, which I never had to use, never had to buy any of that stuff. I think there's enough of those gems or coins or whatever you use that if you want to fast travel. But I think it was more fun not fast traveling for the fact that you could have the cart attacked by a dragon, or you could have the cart attacked by a chimera, or whatever the like lion, dragon, bat thing, or whatever it was. But there was just so much to that game that I enjoyed, and big open world. It may not have been the prettiest game. Like I could say like things like Black Myth Wukong might be visually better, but I just love how this game came together, and just the RPG aspects of it, and the gear and the upgrade ability, and the weapons and whatnot, and the different talents or abilities you can learn and stuff. Like it was an early on 2024 game, but it's still in my top three. But I do want to give an honorable mention also to State of Decay 2, which,
Oh,
yes,
yep.
I know it didn't come out in 2024,
Hmm.
but I played a lot or shit ton of it in 2024 because when it came out, like I think it was 2018, it had some bugs. And instead of getting pissed off and cursing the devs and whatnot, I was like, I'll just put this thing down and just wait until, some patches come along. Like yes, I know it's in Game Pass. I went and bought they didn't call it the Juggernaut edition then, whatever the premium or the deluxe or whatever edition was is what I bought. And I was like, I'll come back to it. Well, I heard that they were, coming to their last update. What was it? Update 39, I think was their last one, but like update 38, they were talking about that. And I was like, oh, let me check it out. And man, if you want to recreate The Walking Dead in a sim like environment, it's the best game out there that you can do that with. Like, I know there's other zombie related games, and I'm a big fan of the genre, but if like The Walking Dead, until they kill off Glenn, and I'm not saying spoilers anymore. If you don't know, they killed Glenn at
Yeah,
this
by
point.
this point, yeah.
But yeah, like I stopped watching the show around that point, but
I
like
think a
I
lot of
still
people did.
like the
I did.
concept of it.
A lot
And
of people did, yeah.
yeah, I State of Decay 2 gave me all those feels of it as far as like being able to have like the strip mall area where you, if you get that base and you have enough followers in your community, it's like The Walking Dead in a sim type form. I look forward to State of Decay 3 because of that, and hopefully we see it in 2026. I know there was a rumor that it could be a 2025 game, but 2026 is fine. I can wait because I still got State of Decay 2 I'm having fun with, but man, 2024 was awesome for games just in general because there's so many other ones that I played that are on that list, but man, like Game Pass made it a great year for me. And then outside of that, with third party stuff, mainly played the stuff on PC. Didn't really pick up much for PlayStation this past year. Helldivers 2 was the only thing I really picked up. But then again, I picked that up on PC. So, but yeah, and that was an awesome game. Didn't look as awesome as I had hoped, but for all those that made fun of Starfield with the faces and stuff like that on like a Series S, Helldivers 2 had kind of like worse looking character models in my opinion, but the
Yeah.
atmosphere and the gameplay was what it made that game special. But
Yeah.
it
So
was a pretty awesome
basically
year.
driving in that car and and making your car door go out and slamming it on a zombie is still the most satisfying thing. So satisfying every time I play State of Decay.
Yeah.
Got to give a shout out to a couple people. First off, we got about 70 people watching. Appreciate everybody for jumping on in. I believe Web Dave sent people on in as you per usual. So thank you, Web Dave, sending some peeps over in our chat. Some people, I think, Noisemovo, Noise Mofo, says, "What are we talking about? Game of the year?" It's basically just our top three, our personal games of the year. What we basically vibed with in 2024. I had like stuff like I wanted to add like Starfield as a honorable mention as well. Just games we vibed with last year. 2024 was such a good year for gaming, and want to give it some mention as we head into this year, which is absolutely insane. I think it's going to be even. It's not going to be good. You guys watching in chat, everybody playing games right now, beat the games that came out 24 because 25 is going to get worse. It's going to get worse. We got GTA coming out, Avowed, a lot of games. A lot of games are coming
Yeah.
out this year, and a lot of games are holding off from coming out this year because they don't know what GTA is doing. They're like, "What?" They're trying to dodge GTA as well. But shout out to everybody in the chat. I'm going to read some of you guys' chat, and we'll move on to the second topic. But I also want to talk a little bit more about this year because there's some other games that I would like to mention this year that came out. We got Fun Speculation saying, "Hey fellas, hello Mav. Good seeing you, brother." We got Talos Ray. Good to see you, good sir. Def Leopard, Infinite Umbra, and someone said like watch it, Fuzz, because you said something about Unreal Engine, and then you're saying ID Tech might be better. So Umbra's watching. He's watching us. Isaac Hayes. Isaac was basically asking for us to like, when you guys coming back on Blue Sky, I believe. So we are back, man. We're back for the break. Gonna have our regular shows back on Sunday. So good to see you, good sir, and thanks for checking up on us. Got Poison Maniac. Still need to play Stalker 2. I got to get a new controller though before I do that. Yeah, I need to play more Stalker 2 as well. I just been playing the most random games. Like I was saying in the intro, I was playing Top Spin, and me and Top Spin got some beef right now because that game is like if you don't buy the microtransactions, it's kind of broken, kind of a broken experience. Nate Dogg says Stalker is underrated. Great game, great 2024 games from Xbox. Yes, very good game. A game I wish I had more time to play, but I get so overwhelmed even right now. So I can't even imagine this year. Definitely gotta like finish that game. That's on the list for games for me to finish. Right now I'm going through some other games. I beat Indiana Jones, beat Starfield last year. And now it's on the list for this year, so I'll definitely try and complete that. Yobi, legendary Yobi, appreciate you for dropping in. Happy to see another day. He says, yes, blessed. We're all blessed to be alive and playing some awesome games. As Pong would say, it is. What does he say? The
Golden age
golden
of
age,
gaming.
golden age of gaming, and I 100% believe that. Neat Dog says 3-bit. I know you know I have to ask. You heard anything new about Fallout? Close to 250 guys will be free after Outer Worlds 2 release. I actually have, but I'm not an insider, so I won't say anything. Um, you can read my face, I guess. Poison Maniac says, phenomenal to hear, Yobi. Keep up. Yep. Good to see you, Yobi. Big Mac Mo, GTA is 2026. A lot of people are saying that as well. I go back and forth. We talked about this, I think, episode or two ago. Whether or not we think GTA is coming out this year or next year. I will just say, I'll preface, it makes sense for it to release 2026. I believe that. However, I also believe the money man always speaks. And the money man said in a shareholder meeting that's coming out 2025. But hey, this is the biggest games. The shareholders could be like, hey, delay it if you need to. I could see that happening too. So we'll see. I just know every game developer, they're not going to release their game until they know when GTA 6 is coming out. If it does come out this year, I'm guessing it'll be mid to late this year. So yeah, I guess we'll find out at some point, right? We'll find out soon. Why So Serious says, not a 2024 game, but I put so many hours into Dead Island 2 and Remnant 2. Remnant 2 was a game I was actually going to play the other day. I've always heard about it. I heard Mav and stuff talk about it in the past. But it's like it skipped over me. So I definitely got to check that out. Dead Island 2 is great as well. Yeah, just so many freaking games. It's not even fair. Sappho. Welcome, Sappho. He says, I haven't beat a single game so far. I beat Forspoken because there's nothing left to do in the game. Yeah, man. Sometimes I will look at all the games I have to play, and then I'll play something like, I don't know, Minecraft or something. Because I will get overwhelmed as well. So I completely understand that. I mean, I'm playing a tennis game right now, and I could be playing something like soccer. So it is what it is. Big Memo also says he thinks GTA is mid. Hey, I mean, I can't agree, but I mean, everybody got their tastes. I could see how some people could think that, but man, the quality of what is in Rockstar games, no one has reached that bar quite yet for open world games. Nate Dogg says, I know Josh Sawyer is definitely cooking right now. He couldn't keep a straight face in his YouTube video when asked about Fallout. He looks excited. Yeah. That's all. I won't say anything about that. Sappho, I think 2025. I still wonder who going to pay for the GTA marketing. Yep, that's the question, right? The thing is, Rockstar, just historically, if we're looking at their past, Rockstar doesn't tend to be on a stage for Xbox or PlayStation. I know Xbox did have some DLC for like the Ballad of Gay Tony stuff. That was an exclusive on the Xbox side. But outside of that, usually they like to have their own marketing plan, because they're that big. Like they're that big where they can just be like, this is our own marketing sort of thing. And we'll see. But kind of talking about the future, and I appreciate everybody for jumping in. Switch 2 is something I kind of want to talk about, Fuzzy. So I actually have a little picture I'm gonna put up. So Nintendo might come for me, but that's okay. this will just be the episode that might go off, but that's okay. You guys get to see this because you guys are awesome. So Switch 2 had an apparent Joy-Con leak, rumored to be revealed out of it was this Chinese manufacturer, I believe. So here's a picture. I basically got this. This is supposed to be the Switch 2 Joy-Con allegedly, right? And an article by Tech Traduce noted that the controller will feature several noticeable changes, including a slightly larger size and a magnetic connection system. This new magnetic feature could potentially improve the durability and usability of the controllers, addressing some of the criticisms directed at the current Joy-Con design. I do have this picture up, and to me, I kind of see the differences. I don't play the Switch enough to really be like, whoa, I see this is different. Like to me, it kind of looks very similar to the first one. But for those who have a Switch and you notice like the big difference, like, whoa, look at that button, cool. Let us know. Like to me, I'm like, oh, it looks like what it looked like before. This is just me being honest. I don't notice a huge difference. But it brings up a lot of different questions. Like, will we see GTA on the Switch? Does this mean we are getting a reveal in a few months for like a Nintendo show? Could this leak kind of be on purpose? Like, could this just be Nintendo just like trying to gauge people's hype? Which we know companies do this sometimes. Maybe also this is where Call of Duty finally makes an appearance on a Nintendo platform since 2011, I believe is the last time, which was Modern Warfare 3, maybe. I think it was Modern Warfare 3. So yeah, so maybe this is where Call of Duty Black Ops makes an appearance on the Switch. Maybe GTA appears on the Switch. So another article before we get into your till I get into your thoughts, Fuzz. Another article was also released yesterday from the same site. It kind of noted that the Nintendo Switch 2 is still the subject of rumors, with fresh leaks revealing details about its development technology and possibly game selection. Between now and March 2025, Nintendo is anticipated to unveil its next platform, which has fans excited for official information. The Nintendo president stated in November 2024 that the forthcoming system, which is speculatively referred to as the Nintendo Switch 2, will allow backward compatibility with original Switch games. So, according to speculation, the device will have improved hardware on par with the PS4 Pro, but it will retain the hybrid design of its predecessor. So it mentions The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild may also receive a Switch 2 upgrade as a launch title, according to speculations. So a couple things there. But let's say this is real, Fuzzy. Does any of these details excite you into maybe investing into the Nintendo ecosystem? Like, what does this do for Fuzz? What do you think?
Well, I'm not normally the Nintendo guy. I grew up as a Sega kid. My sister and my niece they were Nintendo fans. They had the NES, the Super NES, and then after that, they kind of didn't play video games as much, so they kind of ended it with the Super NES. But no, no, I think they got the Wii later. But
Yeah.
yeah, it. I think the big thing for me, third party support is going to be key for me to consider it. It's great that I know Phil had said something about doing Call of Duty on a Switch, or maybe that was what's his name before he left. But like I I don't need necessarily Call of Duty to be on the Switch for me to pick it up, but I do need um like let's say 2K on there, or MLB The Show on there, or other like multi-plat type games that are multiplayer type of deal, and I could take on the go, or like some of these RPGs like your Dragon's Dogma kind of thing. That would be kind of cool. Where although I have a Steam Deck already, so I don't know if I would to spend the 400 or more on a Switch 2 just to have another portable device. But like it's cool that they've show or we got the leak of the new Joy-Con. Hopefully they have better thumbsticks. It'd be nice to hear that they're was it Hall effect kind of joysticks or something like that. So,
Mhm.
but we'll see. I that's one thing I doubt because I don't think Nintendo would spend the extra cash. They'll
Yeah.
just either do the warranty or deny the warranty for stick drift and things like that. But the fact that third party is going to support it, it at least makes me consider it. That I first party could be great. It's just not my bag. Like I said, I was a Sega kid, not a Nintendo guy. So
Yep. Yeah. Same. This device, yeah, I guess the biggest thing coming for Switch 2 would be the third party support because development wise, people complain about the Series S. Nintendo is the most popular platform, and I wouldn't even touch the Switch. I mean, we're gonna get to this the Series S potato conversation later on, but like the Switch is such a weak console. I mean, you have phones that are probably stronger than it that it really pushed off a lot of third party developers to not even try, even though it's one of the most popular consoles. So I think with the Switch 2, it does have that benefit of finally being, I mean, I wish it would somewhat compete with like the newer consoles, but PS4 Pro, I mean, this is what this article is essentially saying. Did pretty good, you know. PS4 Pro was able to churn out some amazing looking games. So we can finally go from not having tiled grass. I think honestly, that's the most that's the thing I'm most excited for with the Switch 2 is to not see these games where they are catered to a specific art style because of what is in the box. Like they have to go to this specific cartoony, uh, vibrant art style because that's what the Switch can kind of handle, and they kind of get away with it due to its audience. Um, so I'm excited to see more third party support on the Switch too. I think that's the most positive thing I could say for this device. In terms of other games coming to it, like I think it would be interesting to see GTA on a Switch. For some reason, this is hard for me to associate GTA and Switch, but I can see it happening. I don't know how well it will run. Um, Honestly, I don't know how well it's going to run on the new the next gen, let alone the Switch. So
yeah,
we'll definitely see, but that's gonna be interesting. I noticed a couple people in the chat was mentioning like the stick drift being a huge problem on the original, and I can attest to that because it's happened to my Switch as well, and I rarely game on there.
mm,
I've mostly played, I guess, Mario Party, and like Mario Golf, and that's about it. And it's already having stick drift. So I can't imagine the people who game on the Switch constantly. They probably have to deal with that quite a bit. So yeah, I hope they do deal with that with this one. Um, who knows what they put in there? I'm not sure, but it is cool to see.
yeah.
Definitely
I'm
cool to
I'm I'm
see.
gonna I'm gonna put this out there, and I know some people will probably clip this and be like, "Oh, he's being a pony bot," but I hope Doom, the Dark Ages, can run on a Switch too. Like I trust that it can optimize that engine to get it to run on just about anything.
Yeah.
um, but I would like to see that on the Switch too, just because I know having that game as a portable game just harkens back to like back in the day when it wasn't the most graphically intense for some portable devices in the past, but like that I think is like ultimately the way Doom should be played. If you can't play it in an arcade, play it portable. I mean, it looks great on TV, on a console, and stuff like that, or even on PC. But portable device would be cool. But
Yeah, 100%. I would love to see Doom on the Switch. And I think what the holidays has shown me, not just the Christmas spirit and whatnot, but it's shown me that I really want to play games on the go, specifically in the scenarios that I was in. I was sick. I wanted to play games, but I didn't want to go downstairs and go on a TV and stuff like that. That would have been the perfect opportunity for me to have something like a Steam Deck or something like that. That's where I'm excited for Xbox to go, possibly in the handheld direction, and that's where Switch definitely wins as well. They have the ability to be mobile for sure. So let me read some of these comments because you guys are absolutely killing it. And I think a majority of our audience, I think you guys play Xbox, PlayStation, stuff like that. We don't have a lot of Nintendo peeps in our audience. So I I've been trying to be fair to Nintendo, but just know Nintendo's not for me necessarily lately. I've always been a Sega guy as well. I think Sega Genesis my was my first console. My very first game. Embarrassed to say, but it was Barney hide and seek on the Sega Genesis, and you're basically Barney, and you look for like kids hiding. Um, yeah, yeah, that was the first game. But the first game I remember like really liking was Streets of Rage. So shout out to Streets of Rage. Let me read some of you guys stuff. Dr. Dinglenut says only Nintendo can get away with hyping up stuff that everyone else has been doing for 5 years. I mean, here's the thing. When you are the market leader, um, like there's a lot of stuff that Xbox is doing, for example, like the cloud saving being completely free, the backwards compatibility, the ability like Xbox Play Anywhere, you can play on your console, then pick it up on a PC and things like that. That stuff is really good quality of life features. Um, and I've seen a couple of videos where someone's playing Xbox for the first time and they're like, "Whoa, I didn't know Xbox had all this." You know, it's like kind of the downfall of Xbox being in the market position it's in is it, if you dominate the market, you can kind of get away with overcharging people, and you can get away with not being as customer friendly. Um, you can like overcharge for a game, have people start being fine with just remasters and instead of like a free update, stuff like that. Um, Sony can do that because a lot of people are gonna buy it regardless. um, so sadly, that is what it is going to be. But I'm first off, I will give them somewhat of a praise there because I didn't really expect them to do backwards compatibility. I was like kind of 50-50 on it because I know they like to charge people. I mean, Mario Kart has never gone down in price since it came out.
Yeah.
And yeah. They the way they value their games, I didn't really expect that. I was like 50-50 on it. So I'm glad that they are doing that at least. So I got to give them somewhat of a prop there. Jasper says, do. Looked up online, tried some workarounds, gonna try some more. I think he's talking about some thing with the Sawmill Wildlands or something like that. Why so serious? Says I'm replaying Red Dead right now. GTA is boring to me. Red Dead is great. Look back at our streams with Mav where we had a cowboy gang, and then that was an insane stream. We eventually met some other gang or whatever. We had this whole battle. Fun times, fun times. Sappho says, I play Switch, but all the changes won't matter if the Joy-Cons are susceptible to drift. That's the biggest issue. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I agree. Let's see what else we got here. Dr. Dinglenut says, play everywhere except Nintendo, have a Switch, but rarely touch it. Yeah, see, so most of our audience are not really Nintendo peeps. I get that. So, like, but I wanted to bring up this topic because it does kind of affect the industry. Like, Xbox is planning on working on Call of Duty for the Switch, or we knew it wasn't gonna be for the Switch one necessarily. Like when they were talking about like, oh, we're gonna put Call of Duty on Nintendo platforms, I was like, they are using that word very smartly because uh trying to put Call of Duty like Black Ops 6, for example, on the Switch, they could do it. It's gonna
Yeah.
look like a potato, but I'm sure they could do it. Um, so it makes sense that it was going to be for Switch too. But speculation says we should all play Red Dead Online on PC so we can all get those frames. Yes, yes. If I was not mistaken, I don't know if this was honestly a dream or not, or where I've seen this, but I could have swore I've seen Red Dead was getting an update or something like that. So that was random. If that was real, I don't, honestly, I seen it in passing, I think somewhere. So it
Mhm.
would be cool. A lot of people love Red Dead as a franchise. Rockstar has been really focused on GTA, so I kind of hope they kind of do some things for it. Did you see Phil message Eon Black from Couple of Fools? I have not. I have not. I've been off of Twitter. If they have me on Twitter. L Aminia Pio says Sega had to struggle with Sony cutting off dev support for Dreamcast. Xbox had to really entice third-party support from Sony like EA and Square. Nintendo had an uphill battle since N64. Hmm. The thing Nintendo has going for it though, L, is they are the market leader, even more so than Sony. So they can entice third party, but really I don't think they have to do much work to enticing people. I think a lot of developers want to develop for the Switch, but their hardware is just so weak that they would literally have to redevelop their game in a lot of ways. ID Tech is in a different boat where their engine is so optimized, and we're going to actually talk about that in the next topic about optimization. Their engine is so optimized that like they manage somehow to do it, but not every developer is going to put that time and resources into optimization, as we know with a couple of games that have been coming out recently. Last comment, we will get into our third topic. Legendary Yobi says Rockstar was in their feelings because they failed to garner the same success for GTA Online for Red Dead Online.
Yeah. Like there's one thing I really wish they would have done, and I've barely played the online for Red Dead, but it's like they should allow you to build your own bank, build your own community, build your own brothel, build your own bar or speakeasy or whatever you want to call it. Like if you could run your own business is like basically you have a cat house kind of thing. Uh, I know that might be a little bit risque, but I'm pretty sure you could have sold, I guess, gold bars as opposed to shark cards or something like that, in the tens of millions, if not billions, if they allowed you to the freedom of what actually went on in during the West. Like if you could make your own town and then insure the bank and then rob the bank and then collect insurance kind of thing, like
Yeah.
allow people to just go wild with stuff, kind of like what they've done with GTA Online. I think that would have been killer. I think that would they would have two big series that online they would basically own the world. They would have one in the past and one in present day, and then all they got to do is make a cyberpunk competitor, and they'd have one for future. So, but I don't know. It just felt like they weren't as interested because not enough people showed up, buying the microtrans or whatever cards or whatever they used as opposed to like shark cards. I think it was gold bucks or gold bullion or something. I forget what they call it, but
Yeah, the shark cards or whatever it's called. Um, I remember seeing. I watched the Madden documentary, um, where it's basically talking about how Madden was created, and it mentioned in the documentary how 2K makes what was like something crazy, like 80% of their revenue from transactions.
Mhm.
insane, man. Um, it really the industry has really shifted because I remember go years and years ago, maybe 10 years now, where you would play a game and microtransaction used to be like a separate sort of thing to the game, but now it's getting more and more intertwined with the experience to the point where if it's not in a game now, it's weird. Because I guess a lot of people like it. I mean, I'm a sucker for it too. If you have a game like Dragon's Dogma, like I'm seeing on the screen, and you give me an option to be like have golden armor or something like that, I might buy it. I
Yeah.
might buy it if it looks shiny enough, it looks special enough. I'm one of those people that fall for microtransactions. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there as well who feel the same. They don't want to admit it, but hey, I'm a sucker for microtransactions. So they definitely get peeps. Let's go to our third topic first. So this one is interesting. Let me put on. Let's see some gameplay. So this one is interesting. This is essentially what you guys see in the thumbnail. I kind of want to bring this up because I've seen it go in the news. I feel like every year we get a Series S is a potato kind of thing from a developer. Something happens where the developer gets discredited and then it goes away and then it's brought up again. And then I feel like I have to address it each year. So this is my yearly potato um talk. Potato talk with 3-bit. So this is a quote from IGN. Sorry, I didn't really feel like going on another site looking for some of these topics. So this is an exception. Um, Quote, in a post on Chinese social media website Weibo, Game Science co-founder and CEO Feng Ji celebrated PC and PS5 action game Black Myth Wukong's Game of the Year win at the 2024 Steam Awards, and in doing so, lamented the lack of an Xbox version of the game, which he blamed on optimization trouble with the Xbox Series S. Quote from him, the only thing missing is the Xbox, he said, per machine learning translation, which somehow feels a bit wrong. But that 10 gigabyte of shared memory without years of optimization experience is really hard to make work. End quote. Um, so to me, to me, this always leads to a problem with like modern day game development, not necessarily the Series S. Kind of like the actual problem developers don't like to admit is they put so little time in the optimization process. Modern games pushing for fidelity and relying on engine techniques like upscaling to optimize the game for them. I've said this so many times. Some people are starting to break it down really smart. There's this developer he's working on a game. He kind of broke down basically what I'm saying. I'm condensing it so I don't have to get into these nerdy dev talks. But I would kind of hope in the future that modern developers focus on better optimization techniques. There's a reason why developers that worked on Baldur's Gate, right? That's another example where they talked about how, um, Series S was a problem. Afterwards, they were like, wow, the Series S actually helped them get a boost in performance after they struggled getting their game on the platform, right? Very similar situation here. It reminds me of the Gotham Knights dev, which I think it might have been discredited. He's like, "Oh, I work at there, but I don't work on Gotham Knights." Where he kind of complained that the game was 30 frames per second because of the Series S and it being an open world, right? And then their very next game, which was Suicide Squad, ran at 60 frames per second. It had way more demanding graphics on the Series S.
Mhm.
So you get these like complaints from developers sometimes, and then you see some games where some people complain about like, oh, this is a Series S's fault, and then you look at the minimum specs, and the specs are underneath the Series S for
Mhm.
PCs, right? There's a couple things I think that's happening here, and believe it or not, I don't believe the problem is the Series S. I believe the problem is just modern day game development in a lot of ways. Now you can say like development time is a problem. Like depending on how your development pipeline is for your game, where you put optimization kind of on the end front, then yeah, that's going to be hard to try and make it work for a lesser GPU. Um, but it's why though we have more power than the last generation, but for games we're getting worse performances for a lot of games. It is, and I believe it's because they get all this headroom now. Like, oh, I got all this free space on the Series X and the PS5. Woo, right? Where before they had to optimize that game, or else is not going to work. It's going to be awful. When the 360, when you developed a game for like the Xbox 360, look at a game like Halo 4. It was like crazy how that game was able to perform on those consoles. Um, Nowadays, what I believe the problem is for game development, we're getting all these tools. We have bigger headway, so that leads to developers just let's develop the game, let's push for fidelity first and optimization like last. And you can see developers when they focus on optimization, you see Series S performing very well. And it's actually a lot of games I feel like that kind of automatically kind of prove a lot of these statements wrong that the Series S is potato. Like you just have to look at some games that have released on the Series S and you're like, wow, that's actually performing very well. So I honestly, to me, it comes down to development priorities, as essentially, of what they want to do. Um, and that's my nice shorter summary of it. There's a whole technical side I can get into why I believe that's the case, down to what Unreal Engine is using, what a lot of developers tend to stick to with Unreal Engine in terms of the shaders, in terms of their like TAA sampling and things like that, of like what a lot of developers just stick to, and that's the basis, and they don't want to really dive into the engine to figure out how to optimize things better, just relying on surface level things on in engines. And then most developers sort of um, leading with that. I could I could talk about that, but generally, I believe what the problem is. Modern day development is focusing on fidelity, and then optimization second, and then they blame the Series S when they run out of time. So I'm curious about your thoughts on this, Fuzzy. I have a lot of technical thoughts on
Yeah.
this, obviously, but curious to know what your thoughts are on the whole Black Myth, Wukong, his statements, and things like that.
Well, I don't have the technical know-how of you as a developer. My technical knowledge is with the hardware to some extent, and knowing that there's the ability on lower spec PCs to run it. Now, it may not look the greatest. They have to have some of the bells and whistles turned down, resolution's a little bit lower. But that was the whole purpose of like the Series S or the dev kit itself, where you're supposed to be able to make it for both consoles and either scale up or scale down. So if they're having a problem with the memory aspect and they pitched it for the Series X, they're doing something wrong in the scaling down process. Like if they're still trying to set it at 1080 when maybe they should set it for 720 and make some other sacrifices that way, that it, I honestly think it just comes to them not being familiar with the hardware. Now, do I blame Xbox in any way? No, but it would be nice if they kind of did the same thing they did with Larry. And it's like, not that they said this out loud, but they were like, you idiots can't get this done. All right, we're going to send a couple of engineers over there to help you,
Yeah.
to show you how to use the tools that you should already know how to use. Um, and Larian had was a 20% uplift on all the other hardware once they got it figured out. But it was almost like it seemed like there had to be a retraining of how you start or the approach of using their dev kit. And then from there, all other platforms benefited. So I think we're going to have the same thing with Black Myth Wukong. Does Microsoft need to send engineers over there? Not really, but it would be nice for those that are waiting for it to come to their preferred platform, being Xbox. But I think it'll become less of an issue because you're going to more than likely have something like Grand Theft Auto 6 run perfectly fine on it. Sure, it might be only 1080, and sure, it might only be 30 frames, but then again, even the PS5 Pro will only be 30 frames as well. So I don't think that there will be anything you're really missing out with the Series S running Grand Theft Auto 6. I think it'll just be a matter of the resolution will be lower than what it is on the Series X and on the PS5. Um, but Game Science was it Game Science? I think is the name of the
Yep.
studio. They're a new studio. Yet sure they have some veterans within the studio, but if they're not familiar with the Xbox platform or their dev kits, or maybe they weren't allowed to touch their dev kits, like there's still so much stuff that's kind of like
Up in the air about this. Yeah.
questionable. Like, did Sony help them in any financial way where they couldn't really focus or learn the Xbox hardware? I don't know. It just all of this seems weird. But then again, we had the same thing with another Game of the Year candidate, the previous year with Baldur's Gate 3, and that wound up working out just fine. I don't know if they had the split screen thing figured out or not, but overall, it was able to run on the Series S. Since then, I haven't heard anybody from Larian complain or even anybody in the gaming media complain since they got it figured out because whatever platform they were playing on before benefited from the Series S being able to play it. So maybe gaming science or game science gets it figured out before before June. Like maybe that's one of the things that's on the Xbox stage. Oh, finally coming to Xbox. But guess what? It won't stutter like it does on your PS5 Pro, or won't have some of the loading issues that it had before on other platforms. Like that game still hurts some, big PCs as far as with the stuttering and stuff like that. But that's a Unreal Engine 5 thing. That if you're not familiar with optimizing, it seems to be a normal occurrence. Didn't really notice that in some of the Unreal Engine 5 games made for Xbox, but it is what it is. I guess not all dev studios are created equal type of
Yep.
deal, but
Yeah.
maybe they'll get it figured out at some point. But I think it was it Sappho made it mentioned in the chat earlier. It's like whenever there's a slow moment in gaming news, it's like, oh, you can always rely on picking on the Series S. Like blame the Series S for layoffs, blame the Series S for the global warming, blame the
Right.
Series S for the meta score of your favorite game not reaching the score you hope for, kind of deal. It just
Yep.
seems like they always want to
Series
blame the
S is the
Series
reason
S.
Half-Life 3 isn't out. Also.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, although who knows, we
Yep.
might actually get a Half-Life 3
Hope
now.
so.
And that will they thank the Series S for it? Probably not. But
Nah, no. Can't think it. Can't think it.
but I bet you this much: if Valve makes it available on console, I bet you it'll be playable on a Series S without any problem.
That you'll be
Just
optimized.
saying.
Yeah. Yeah, facts. Yeah, it's just like very interesting because it's one of those conversational pieces that pops up maybe every year. There's like a development studio that comes out or someone that says like, "See, Series S is holding back gaming," and it's hard for me to see how people can say that when you are automatically developing for different hardware. So if you are putting your game on PC, you are already developing for ranges of different graphics cards, and you know, you automatically are developing for different hardware. So if you are doing that and you're also putting it on Xbox, then okay, you are again developing for different hardware. So you can't be holding it back unless you intended to not release it on PC, I guess. Um, because PC's minimum spec is usually even underneath the Series S. I
Mhm.
digress. But I feel like this conversational point pops up every year or something like that, and it ignores a few points um, that I would like to bring up on this show. So a couple of people put in the comment section. I'm gonna go to some of you guys. So L says Starfield runs 60 frames on Series S now, was not the case before heavy optimization. Another example where it's like, oh, it's kind of hard. Starfield was like in a weird bubble because I was like, I feel like it could hit 60. I said that earlier on, like, it seems like they just ran out of time and it's an optimization thing. Lo and behold, it's now, hitting some pretty good frame rates on the Series S. So, it always comes down to optimization. Um, Also says before that, is it not satisfying feeling for devs to try and make their masterpieces work well on lower end hardware? I would marvel with pride. It's a head scratcher. See, like certain development studios really focus on optimization for like different hardware specs, like ID Tech, and it's funny. You'll have like ID Tech release a game like Indiana Jones, 60 frames and stuff, because that studio is known for making sure their games work well for many devices. But you get a game like Black Myth, and then people say Series S is a potato. They're a brand new studio, right? Not known for optimization. The game runs not very well on PS5 and a couple of different hardware, and it's the Series S's fault, apparently. So I think people just need to look at some of this stuff and realize that maybe it's the people developing the game. But also, Black Myth has a lot of weird stuff around it with Microsoft basically saying like, "Hey, um, they're we can't comment on deals with our partners," I believe is what was said. And then
Yeah.
Black Myth was like, "We are not in a deal. It's because of the Series S." I, it's such a weird case, and I feel like I mean, time tells all. We'll
Mhm.
eventually we'll maybe find out the truth. Maybe we'll never find out the truth. But if I was Microsoft and I knew that they had a deal and they're coming out blaming the Series S, that's a damaged relationship right there.
Mhm.
And we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. That's all I can say. But if it was a deal, most likely those dev kits, we'll see. Well, I don't know. We'll see what ends up happening. Big
Yeah.
Bad Mo says optimize for the Series S, make it better for the rest. Okay, yeah, I don't know if you intended for that to rhyme, but it was very catchy. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, it's like if you optimize for lower end hardware, it does benefit the rest. So I hope more development studios start to do that. Start focusing on optimization early in their
Yeah.
development. Poison Maniac said some people got Black Myth to run on like 6 to 8 gigabyte of RAM on PC. I follow a guy named the Turk who knows his PC knowledge. Yeah, I've seen people who had, I think it was like frame gen mods or something like that to get the game to run at smoother frame rates and then run it on like lower end hardware. See, this is not a job for us to figure out. This is something the devs need to figure out how to make this game smoother. There are a lot of smart engineers out there to improve it. But what annoys me in the gaming industry is a lot of things. Modern day game development optimization isn't really thought about as much as it used to be in the past. There's a lot of modern day features that are sort of guised as like this will improve the performance on the game, but you're not doing the actual work of making it underneath the hood. That's just modern day game development, sadly. And I feel like that knowledge is starting to get lost over time of how you actually are supposed to optimize the game. L says, let me go to Sotness. Series S and Game Pass should have been Series S and Game Pass should have been the right idea for the 2020 economy. It's very yeah, I mean, Series S, it is affordable for a lot of people, and it's a good gateway for a lot of people. Um where, I brought my wife the Series S. It was her kind of gateway to a lot of games. Now she loves it. She plays Hogwarts all the time. So that's like her thing. So it's a good gateway for people who don't really want to invest in the Xbox ecosystem, and then they realize how cool it could be. Without much of a cost. So what else you guys got? Cepho, it ran like trash on PS5, and that had twice the memory. Yeah. That's what I've been hearing. I can't speak to that. I just heard is running like crap. I do eventually want to play the game. Check it out, maybe on PC. I don't think it's coming on Xbox anytime soon. So I mean, Fuzzy, you played it. What was your opinion on it?
For PC, just have a decent rig, preferably a NVIDIA card, um, at least a 30 series, 40 series preferably, and the 50 series are coming out later this month or next month. So um, just know that you're going to deal with stutters every so often. It's it's a good game that could have been great if given more time to optimize. I think whatever they do next will probably be more of their shining jewel kind of game. It'll be like the way a lot of people look at Witcher 3, I think, whatever they do next. So if this is like their Witcher 1 or 2, we'll see how they do on their next game. But this game just needed more time to optimize, and on PC even some decent rigs. Although mine's just a 3080, I don't have a 40 series card. I was going to do the upgrade for the 50 series, but it's taxing. It's
Yeah.
it's taxing.
Yeah, it's a beautiful looking game. I mean, even from the footage that's been playing in the background, like it impresses me in a lot of ways. It's the only thing that doesn't impress me about the game is just all the behind the scenes nonsense kind of going on with it. But in terms of the game itself, I do want to play it. I want to experience it. I think it looks very impressive. I seen the intro sequence where, spoiler, it feels very God of War, where he goes up into the clouds and there's this huge battle and stuff. Awesome. That looked amazing. So I definitely want to check it out. I want to check it out when they get some of this optimization stuff more figured out, and then I'll play it. Prince Green says, "I'm sorry, it annoys me every time 3-bit says ID Tech as it's separate. It's id Tech. Here's why I say ID Tech. I worked for a company called ID Tech, and it's so confusing. It messes up my brain. It's like I used to teach game design at this company called ID Tech, and I can never separate id Tech and ID Tech. So I apologize, but I might say it in the future." L says, "So is it bad development mentality if you need a PC rig to brute force performance?" That's kind of my point. It's like before you didn't have a lot of space with these consoles like the Xbox 360, PS3, so they had to optimize their game. They had to figure out under the hood how to put physics, how to figure out the triangles all that stuff. Um, but now they have more headroom. So you would think like, oh, we have better graphics now, but now it's like better graphics but worse performance. And you're like, why? It's because they are basically pushing fidelity now, and they're like, well, we don't have to optimize it. Let's just put make the textures. Let's upscale the textures and just call it a day. But that's resulting in worse performance, and then they're not teaching modern day developers any different. So it's sad. It is kind of sad. I hope more developers focus on optimization going forward. So let's see what else we got. Nate
Well,
Dogg
I
says,
I just gotta say
"Yeah, go
real
ahead.
quick for Def Leppard's comment.
Yeah,
Um, Concord, yeah, that 0 frames right now because it's a dead game. It's a ghost of a game. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. A Concord 0 frames per second. Talk about performance. Okay, that one. Whew, that needs a patch right away. Um, very bad." Dog says Shattered Space runs sub 20 FPS at times at the 60 frames mode on Series X. I haven't experienced that. Maybe I did experience some frame drops when I remember I was facing like 30 enemies in a room, and then I threw like a bunch of explosives, and then it run into like a canister, and we were in outer space at the same time. So the physics were floating, explosions were happening, the whole screen like went white, and then my frames actually dropped. But I understood why. I'm like, dang, there's a lot happening in the scene. But I haven't experienced like huge frame drops on Shattered Space that I could think of. Maybe I was just too invested. I don't know, but I haven't experienced like huge ones personally. Do. All right, it's mainly in the rover. What's crazy is I haven't even drove the rover. I don't know how to get it. No idea how to get it. I wanna try.
I'm just waiting for people to do like video compilations of like their trick shots. Like there's ones where people have been like flipping that thing in the air and shooting at enemies on the ground and then
Mhm.
doing the landing on the tires kind of thing. So
Do you just get out the ship station? Like where do you even get the car or rover? I don't even know where to get it.
wherever you like when you land your ship, I think that's when you can it I well, I think you have to pick it up somewhere first, but
Mm.
once you land your ship, if you ever drive it, it'll automatically be parked outside when you come out of your ship.
Oh, okay. Okay. I think they even it might even had a pop-up menu that says like this is how you do the rover, but I skipped it. And I was like, ah, get this out of my face. So yeah, that's on me. Um I definitely want to try out the rover. We got an extra topic. We got one more. I kind of want to talk about the games for 2025 and Xbox Developer Direct. So Xbox is rumored. I don't know if it was officially announced, but I see people talking about it. Xbox is slated to have a Developer Direct 2025 announcement soon. Web Dave talked about it on his show. I see a couple of posts about it that they're going to have the show. So to you, Fuzzy, what do you expect at this showcase? In any particular games you expect there?
Uh, yeah, like I I envision this is not just going to be 5 games. I think because Xbox has so much stuff cooking right now, I think we're going to get closer to 8 games. I don't want to say it's a showcase by any means or anything like that, but I do think this is going to be a dev direct that's going to be a little bit more loaded than typical. Um, I think Square makes a guest appearance again. Not Visions of Mana or anything like that. I think we now get Final Fantasy 16
Mm.
coming to Xbox. I think the whole Final Fantasy 7 waits until the third iteration's release, but for right now, I think we see, oh, Square joins the match, and hey, Final Fantasy 16 is available to play in either Game Pass or it's downloadable on Xbox. during that dev direct. I think, although Web Dave and Hargeet and Dev made a good point on this, I don't think that we fully get an Avowed or a South of Midnight showing because they kind of already had those. But I do think, like for let's say for Avowed, maybe they show third person some more because they only showed it in like a couple of clips kind of thing and then some stills as far as photos and whatnot. I think they show more of the gameplay in third person, just to kind of play around.
Yeah.
Um, like that'll be like the 15 seconds lead up towards Outer Worlds 2. I think Outer Worlds 2 gets a bigger showing at this show. Same thing with Doom: The Dark Ages. Although I know we saw a good bit of it at the June showcase, but I think we go into more detail about flying dragons and things like that, how you acquire them and whatnot within the game. So I think Doom: The Dark Ages, bigger spot. Uh, Outer Worlds 2, bigger spot with a brief showing just before it of Avowed in third person. South of Midnight gets a release date. They show some more clips or maybe a different biome that they haven't really shown. But I think we at least get the date for when it's going to release. I don't know if Fable makes its appearance. Like, I think Fable should make an appearance, but I think because it's going to be, or what I think would be the later part of the year, maybe it gets shown at the June showcase. But I wouldn't be surprised if Fable makes an appearance. Um, Towerborn might be playable in early access or in Game Pass during that show. Um, and then maybe Contraband, because I think Contraband is closer than we anticipate. Um, Hopefully it gets shown. I'd like to see an update because we all we saw was like kind of like the in-engine or CGI stuff. And then lastly, only because they've very rarely makes posts on anything other than Sea of Thieves, and they made like one of their first ones in a long
Yes, very
time.
rarely. Yes.
Yeah, very rare. So maybe Everwild gets updated viewing, because like Jez reported like 6 months ago, it's in a good state. The team has the whole game loop sorted. Rumors before they didn't know what the game was, kind of thing. They've had plenty of time to kind of figure that out, and I think they're ready to show us where it's at, type of thing. So maybe Everwild shows. So if you got Everwild, Doom, South of Midnight briefly with a release date, Avowed to go with Outer Worlds 2, Towerborn. Yeah, I think there's more than 5 games that are going to be shown. I think they go like 8 or 9. Um, and probably 2 or 3 of them will be playable the same day or downloadable at least on the platform, like Final Fantasy or something like that. So
Yeah. Good
I don't think we're ready
predictions.
for 25, man. I think 25 is going to be a pretty loaded year all around.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like this developer direct, they'll have some games that are more safer and that we kind of already know about what we actually see more gameplay of, something like a Doom. And then we have like that big sort of surprise game like a Contraband or something like that. Um
Mhm.
like to me that makes sense because they still have their showcase later in the year, and I think they're gonna want to save some big games. Like if they have the Wu Tang game, for example,
Yeah.
we know that's been worked on, or we know it's been rumored and stuff like that. I
Mhm.
would not show that game at the developer direct, or maybe it's a good sort of focus show. Um, but I feel like a game like that is a good showpiece type of game where you're like, we got this game, we got here's Gears of War gameplay, here's bam, bam, and then also
Mhm.
Wu Tang. Um,
Mhm.
so I feel like for this developer direct, they'll show some updates to certain games like Doom, Dark Ages, We'll see. Maybe I could see Contraband being like the surprise game. I'm trying to think. About I could definitely see like one more update on, and they could be like showing it like you said in third person. I could definitely see that happening. Yeah, there's the thing. The problem with speculation for Xbox is they have too many freaking games. So it's a good problem for them because they could kind of figure out when they want to space things out in announcement wise. For those who don't know, I was a part of the first Dev Direct team, and that team we didn't show everything um, right away. We kind of spaced it out. I'm not going to talk too much about that, but super talented team. They got it. I'm excited for what they're going to show with Avowed. I could see it one more time. I could see what they got for Avowed one more time because they've they have a little bit more time in between from the last time they showed it and the other time they showed it. It's like every time they show it, it's like improving. Like the combat is improving, the
Mhm.
visuals are improving. It seems like they just have a lot of time now that they're just like polishing. Like let's add this, let's add this. So that's a good place to be in development wise. And Obsidian, they're just a weird company to me because of how fast they develop games. There's only a few studios out there that's kind of like them where I feel like they're just consistent. They're just like, bam, like here's a game. Like, what the heck? Did you just start this like 2 years ago? So I'm impressed with them as a studio. I really want to see some more Avowed. Um, I know a lot of people saying like South of Midnight might not be there because it's coming out soon,
Mhm.
but I think it does help to maybe get something like that since Avowed and South of Midnight are coming out this year. So it's like show it one more time before it comes out, sort of thing. I could see it just sort of happening here. I know they had the longer showcase where it kind of talks a little bit about the development of it. But I could see like a really E3 type demo here where they show like an impressive section of the game. I can see Square Enix being here. I think a couple of people in the chat was mentioning like screw Square, they took that Sony bag. Square doesn't want to take the money bag anymore. They are trying to transform and change for you guys. They're like, hey, we've changed. We're not the same Square.
Mhm.
So we will see what the new Square looks like. They're still in some contracts with Sony. However, we already have seen on multiple occasions of the CEO basically saying like, "Yeah, we want to venture out to new platforms." What do you think those platforms are that they haven't been reaching out? It's been kind of Xbox, it's been Nintendo.
Mhm.
Um, so I think their strategy going forward is not associating their identity with just Sony, because they are seeing what that is doing to their audience base. It's kind of alienating some peeps. Um, and I remember Final Fantasy just being like such a big franchise, as being that one franchise. Like you get your I don't know, just this is one of those staples it used to
Mhm.
be known for. And that's when it kind of was on different platforms. It was on Nintendo and stuff like that. It always did kind of have an identity with Sony, but it was still in a place where at least it kind of reached out. Square needs to become the Capcom is what I think.
Yeah.
Where you look at Capcom, they're on Xbox, they're on Sony, they're a third party platform. So I do believe they will also be at this stage because they want to start changing people's minds of when people think about Square right now, they just think about, oh yeah, that's the Sony company. They don't want that anymore. So I feel like they'll be here for sure. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's hard to imagine which games they want to hold back for. Um, because they have a lot of options. I mean, if Gears is in a good spot, maybe, but I feel like that's a little bit further.
Yeah.
Um, so maybe it's games. Maybe it's just games that's coming out this year. I'm just trying to think about what else they could show. I know they should have a third party game outside of Square, maybe like one.
Mhm.
Like L, he says update on Metal Gear, but yeah, they did do that already. So I don't know. It's a tricky year too because of GTA
Yeah.
again. So yeah,
And
I
and they
guess
got a
we'll see.
lot of third party partners. Like Replaced is another one.
Oh yeah,
I don't even want to really talk about Silk Song just yet because that's the one that maybe it winds up being at the June showcase with a date type of thing. But Replace is definitely one that I know a lot of people, including myself, are waiting for.
yeah,
Um, there's so many other projects. Like I know that they were working with IO Interactive. They were also working with People Can Fly, I believe.
oh yeah,
I don't know if those projects are on hold, but it seemed like with the People Can Fly, they put their own project on hold, and I guess whatever they had going with Xbox is still going strong. Um, and then there's some of the favorites. You got Ninja Theory with Project Mara.
yep.
Is that sooner or later or Double Fine? Is another one
Oh yeah,
that's like
their game. Yep.
so we know they got probably a couple of games cooking, and it's around about the enough time since Psychonauts 2 for maybe whatever else they were using Jack Black for. Hopefully Brutal Legend 2 or something to that effect. But yeah, they're definitely going to need to be more strategic with their showcases or dev directs throughout the year because I think this year they released 12 games from, well, no, I'll say 10 games from first party, and that includes things like um, Call of Duty. And
Yep.
then there's at least two partnered, deals like your Towerborn or your Contraband or something like that. So it's
Yeah,
going to be a busy year.
yeah, it's gonna be absolutely insane. And I have a chart. I was trying to download, but it's acting crazy. But you just think about what every studio is working on. It goes into branches of what Xbox Game Studios is working on, what Bethesda is working on. Then have what Activision is working on, what Blizzard is working on. I don't remember if that Blizzard game, that survival game, that was canceled, right? Or was that?
Yeah, I think that was Odyssey, but I think with that being canceled, I get the impression that something StarCraft related is in the background.
Hmm,
I don't know if it's StarCraft Ghosts. I don't know if it's a regular StarCraft, isometric, RTS kind of game. But some StarCraft is being worked on, and
yeah,
they got the expansions for World of Warcraft. So, and they're
yeah.
still doing stuff for Diablo. So they're going to have to stay on top of things with Diablo, with Path of Exiles 2 coming out. You know, they have that competitive spirit. They're going to definitely try to keep their fan base away from Path of Exile too. So
Yeah, yeah. I can't wait, man. Like we know, I'm looking at just some of the different studios. You don't think Fable will be here?
I don't know. Like I think it's a 2025 game.
Hmm.
I don't know if they wait until the June showcase to do the deep dive, like it's at the end of the June showcase, or if they do it at the end of this showcase, but then don't release until September to November range.
Right.
I don't know. I know in the past they would have still shown it and just not release it until then, and then you might get like another update at the showcase in June. But I, I think Hargeet put it best where it's like you save that for the end of the showcase. You do like a 15 to 30-minute deep dive on Fable, going over the character creator and whatnot, and that's how you end the showcase for this year or the June showcase for this year. But this showcase or this dev direct, I think it's about Outer Worlds 2. I think it's about South of Midnight a little bit. although they already had that diary or documentary kind of thing. But there is Doom of Dark Ages, which we
Yeah.
saw, but we didn't get the deep dive.
Yeah.
And
So I feel like
I
that'll
want to see
be
us flying, or how you get the dragon to fly on, and stuff like that. So I think that's where we get to see it.
heck yeah. And someone mentioned Expedition 33 as well. L mentioned it. So maybe that
Yeah.
also gets a spotlight here. Yeah, that was a game a lot of people were surprised about. So I feel like that's a pretty good third party type game to show there.
And
Um
33 Immortals. I mean, there's two
oh
33
yeah,
games.
I forgot about that one.
So
Yeah.
it's
And then
uh,
Towerborn, I mean, I criticize Towerborn for doing for basically pulling a I don't know, some shady nonsense where they were basically
oh, the early
like
access on
yeah,
PC,
the
but
whole
not
early access thing.
yeah.
But I believe that's this year, so maybe that they show that one more time uh,
Mhm.
over here as well. So I have a last question for you, Fuzz.
Mhm.
If you had to pick one game for what you could you could envision future Fuzzy being like your 2025 game of the year or a game you're looking forward to, what do you think it'll be for this year?
Mm. That's a tough one. I mean, I am a GTA fan. That's up there, but I'm not counting on it being 2025. Um, Outer Worlds 2 is going to be high up there. Um, I love the first one. Um, so the second one, if it's even if it's more of the same, I'm fine with that. But they're saying it's going to be like twice the size. It took up 3 times as long to make, but it's twice the size or something. Yeah, more Outer Worlds. Yeah, I'm all for it. I love how they did that RPG. I love the choices that you get to make, and sometimes they don't always go the way you plan, but that's how life is to some extent. So Outer Worlds 2, I think, is the one that stands out the most. Now I know I'm forgetting some other games. Like I am looking forward to Assassin's Creed Shadows, but I
Oh
think
yeah,
Outer Worlds
gosh.
2 might outdo it for me. Like it all depends on the combat. Like if I love the combat for Valhalla because you could chop off limbs and stuff, or decapitate some of the enemies.
Yeah.
Um, if they have more of that in Shadows, much like you could do like in Ghost of Tsushima, where you could chop the arm and then the other people would see that, like the enemies would see that you chop one of the guys' arms off, and then they would all fall down and run away. Um, if they have that, then Shadows might be it. But Outer Worlds 2 and Shadows are going to be fighting for what I can think of for 2025. Fable, I'll be honest, I never played the previous ones, but I love how that game looked and the concept of it. I think Fable might give those other two a battle for my number one pick for Nick for 2025.
Okay. Um, if Fable comes out this year, of course, a little biased, but I'm yeah, that's gonna be up there. I feel like that would be my number one. Um, GTA is really close though. I'm really looking forward to GTA. Rockstar is like obsessive with detail and pushing the industry standard, and there's not a lot of developers that are still like that nowadays.
Yeah.
Besides like maybe Coalition and there's like Naughty Dog. Say what you will about Naughty Dog. I have my criticisms, but I think they are very talented as a studio, and they constantly push the envelope in certain ways. Um, so I'm excited to see what Rockstar does this time. Like in terms of like the detail, like I wonder the social media aspect in GTA 6 seems like it's going to be a thing. So I
Mhm.
wonder, like in GTA 5, if you guys played the PC mode, you can like have your own website. You could post on social media in the PC version of the game. There's certain things I'm just excited to see how they um make it feel more lived in. which they did with Red Dead, and now I want to see how they do with GTA 6. So excited for that. So I put a
Yeah.
poll because I'm just curious of what you guys think if it's coming out this year, yes or no, and we'll see what we say. But we have made it to the end of the show. Fuzzy, any last comments of last year to this year, or are you good, man?
Just that, yeah, I'm probably going to be one of those knuckleheads getting the 50 series card. I probably won't do it day one because I'm disappointed they didn't do 24 gigs instead of 16 for the 5080. And I don't even want to think about pricing right now. Um,
Yeah.
and this year is going to be unbelievable for games. Like Xbox is going to kill it with all of the first party that they have releasing games. Like I said, I think there's 10 to 12 games coming from Xbox first party that are complete games. That's not even touching on the continued support for things like Halo, Forza Motorsport, Forza Horizon, Diablo, World of Warcraft, things like that. Like those get unbelievable amounts of support, with updates and content drops and things like that. But we get at least 10 or 12 games this year from first party. Second party and third party deals will fill out the rest of it with Game Pass. Start clearing that backlog.
Yep.
2025 is going to be loaded. I hate to see what our backlogs look like at the end of 2025. But man, this is going to be an awesome year. In 2024, I didn't think it was going to be as great of a year as it was, but there were some real good gems released, mostly at the back end of 2024, at least for me. Um, but yeah, some awesome gaming years, and whatever we don't get in 25 we get in 26, and even that's already stacking up to be awesome. Like I think E-Day is 26. I think um Forza Horizon 6 is 26. Elder Scrolls 6 maybe in 26.
Yep.
um but yeah, I think E-Day is 26 only because I said before they even announced it, I was like, well, Gear 6 in 2026 makes sense. So I'm just sticking with that concept. But man, this was awesome being on this show with you. So glad we're back. Thank you for everybody in the audience. You guys rock, man. This is an awesome time to be a gamer.
Thank you. Always appreciate you guys coming in to every single one of our shows. I mean, we've grown. We've definitely grown every single episode. We're now on 29. And just getting to see you guys just hop in every single week that we do this. Always appreciated. Never expected, always appreciated you guys hopping on in. So I'm gonna end the poll. Let's see what we say. Let's see. So I asked, is GTA 6 coming out this year? And you guys said, no, you're wrong, 3-bit. 64% out of 20 votes. You guys say, no, it's not coming out this year. So, okay. I mean, you guys don't think they'll make it. Um, so everyone who voted, just remember, I'll be looking out for that delay. And if I'm wrong, then I will apologize to everyone out there. But I feel like it's coming out this year. So I'm team this year. Fuzzy's team next year. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'll do like a 24-hour stream or something if I'm wrong, or just playing GTA. We'll see. We'll see what I might end up hating that, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. But all right, guys. Thank you guys all for coming. If you are listening, be sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell to be notified when we go live. Sure to subscribe to us on different social platforms that we got going on, Blue Sky, all the things. We got an exciting next episode next Sunday. I do a mid show. There's a lot of things that we didn't even get to discuss in this episode. We discuss a lot in this episode. I feel the itch now that we're finally back. It's like, I got a podcast. So we might do a special show this week. We'll see what we end up doing. But I appreciate everybody for dropping on by. You guys mean everything. And we'll see you guys on the next episode of the Pixelated Echoes. Poison, thanks for dropping the links in there. Thatch, everybody, Def Leopard, everybody who dropped them by. Thank you guys. See you guys in the next episode. Bye, y'all.
Later.